welcome to my Soundtrap tutorial. Today I will go over just the basics of how to start producing music with Soundtrap. So Soundtrap is a DAW or a digital audio workstation, meaning you can pretty much just edit music in a variety of ways. So to start, this is the first screen you see once you log in. I logged in with Google. Soundtrap is free. It does have a premium version, which means that the version I am using today, the free one, will have some limitations, but it still does not mean that it is a really good tool to use freely. So to start, just click the Enter Studio button in the top left. It will take a few seconds to load, and then it will put you into your first project. You are given an option between music and podcast. Today, I will just be going over some of the ways to utilize the tools they have for music. So first, what is on the screen? In the bottom left, you have master volume, which is just how you will hear the music. You have a record button, stop, rewind, play, and fast forward. You have a key option where you can change the key. You have a tempo where all you have to do is click, and you can either manually put in any tempo you would like, and it will play it for you just in case you would like to hear it, or you can use the plus and minus buttons. You have a metronome here. I think it is a really good idea to use metronome as much as possible to make sure that everything that you input is very even. The settings button here is for the metronome. It controls how the metronome sounds, how loud it is, and if there is a count-in if you were to record. Over here in the bottom right, there is a zoom in and zoom out button. They just help you better edit any files you have. In the top left, you have first the Soundtrap logo. This brings you back to the home page. You have the file, which just gives you some different options. Save as Soundtrap does not save automatically. I recommend saving as much as possible. Then you have save as, which is just saving the Soundtrap file for it. You have export, which you can make into an MP3 or WAV file of whatever music you have. And then a share project. What is really great about Soundtrap is that you can share with people who either already have an existing account or do not yet, as you can put in their name or emails or give them the link, which will prompt them to sign up, and then we'll give them access to this project. And with sharing, if you go on the right here with the people icon, you can see that you can talk to people either through chat or through calling who have access to this project. Going back to the top left, you have edit, which is more for the different loops and different music files that you can bring in. You have settings, which just goes over different things like sound quality, and some tutorials, which is more helpful information that I definitely recommend checking out if you have any questions or just want to get to know Soundtrap better. You have undo and redo buttons, but Control-Z and Control-Y also work from my knowledge. And you have another option of how to save. And now up here you have the title. You can name it whatever you would like, you can change it. Just remember, whatever you do, to save. Here's another place to access the sharing. This is upgrade, just get more loops, do the premium version. You can do that if you do find that you really like Soundtrap. Now over here you have a little magnet icon. This will go more towards when you start adding music, but that basically means that it will pretty much snap to grid as it says. So let's add a track and I'll show you what that means. So if you want, you can click the add new track button to the left, and you have a large variety of options. I'm going to go for a piano and keyboard, and as you can see, there is a lot that opens immediately. I can change a lot of different effects to this, and the best way to really go through this is just playing around. But of course the volume is just how loud it is comparatively to the other tracks. Panning is which ear you hear it through. Reverb is just the reverb, how it sounds, if it is very echoey or not. And so you can see you have a keyboard here. You can access it through different keys, or you can just click on them to make any sort of sound. So say we wanted to record something real quick and see what happens. So I'll just record 2 notes. So I'll click the record, or as you can see when you hover over it, control space, and it'll give me a little count in, and then I can record. So I recorded something very simply, and as you can see, I can now edit it. And there's a lot of different things I can do. I can edit the name of the file, I can make it fade in or fade out. On the free version of Soundtrap, I believe you can only have one file that has a fade in or fade out. So make sure that you do not put in, like, if you want the fade in or fade out, make sure to put it on the track that it will fade best with. You can change the rhythm, you can quantize it, or you can change the pitch. So let's first go to edit notes, and as you can see here, if I zoom in more, that I can see exactly when I changed the notes here and which notes I did. And what is very helpful to this is I can click on my first C and I can drag it over to make sure that it starts immediately on beat 1. Same as this D. I can just put it over and make it so that they are perfectly on each bar. And even if I wanted it to last the whole thing, I could drag it over. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but you just have to find like the perfect edge to it. So on the top right here of the piano roll setting, as you saw, I could drag everything over and edit them a little bit. I could also, if I wanted, to change to a different note. I could make this B if I wanted. Over here is this pencil icon is when I can add notes. So say I wanted a note right here. I have now added a note. Right here, the V, this is for the velocity. And then over here is the trash icon. I can just click a note that I would like to delete. So let's go back to the edit and see what else I can do. Let's go to change rhythm. As you can see, there is a lot of different options that come with it, which is another reason why Soundtrap is a great tool. It means that you can do something, you can take a basic chord pattern and then make it more fun or more intricate. So let's try this lively one. Instead of just immediately applying it, I can try playing it out and see what happens. A while to load. But as you can see, it sounds much different from the 2 notes I played. So let's try applying it and see what happens. So now I have a lot going on here. And we can just drag this here to the beginning, or you can just click anywhere on the top where all the numbers are, and it will go to it. So let's just hear what it sounds like. So it sounds definitely a lot different from what I'd done before. And real quick, I did want to go back to the magnet over here. As you can see, when I drag this, it will go to each of the dashes, which can be controlled through this gear here, where I can make the grid size different. Right now it is to the 8th note. I can make it to the 16th note, and then this will even be a little bit more precise. But for now, I'm going to leave it at the 8th note. And so as you can see here, it will go to each dash. But if I remove this magnet here, it'll go anywhere. So if you would like, I would recommend keeping the magnet on for a good portion of your creation, just so that everything is very even. But if you would like a more like particular sound or a very, very specific entry, then I definitely recommend just playing around with it, seeing what works. And so we have something that we created ourselves, but another thing that Soundtrap has is that it has a loops library. And so this has a lot of different pre-made audio that you could use. So let's go back, why don't we go to drums and find some drum loops that we have. So there are a lot of different suggestions, or a lot of different options, and later there will be suggestions once you start adding loops. But let's just go with something simple. Let's listen to this anthem beat here. So it sounds pretty cool, so why don't we add that in? All you have to do is just drag and drop it. As you can see, it came in and it's pretty long. If you don't want it to be this long, you can either always take it from one end. So if I wanted to say take it from the end here, you have this little loop. And as you can see, there are it is every 2 bars there's a little indent. That means that this loop is only 2 bars long, but it has come in as 4 bars. So you can always just drag it from the end and make it as long as you would like it. And you can always make it bigger or smaller as you see fit. Which means that I can do the same thing for my loop that I had created here and just drag it over here, and now both of them are 4 measures long. But what if I wanted to add a bit more to the drums, but not really feeling the loops? I can always go into, say, I can add a new track, and I can go into drum beats. And now you see there are a lot of different options of things I can do. So say I put something in, maybe have some kicks, maybe a snare on 4, etc. And for this case, it is very simplistic, but say that, well, they don't align very well altogether. In this case, they don't sound too bad, but for this case, why don't we say that no, they don't sound great, and I just want to listen to them, just the piano and the drum I had created. Well, I can mute the anthem beat 1 by just clicking the mute button here. Or say I just wanted to listen to my drums. Instead of muting both, I could just click the headphones here, and now I would only hear just the drums. As you can see, there are a lot of different options of things you can do. Of course, now let's go back to add a new track. There are still a lot of options, just as the piano, the woodwinds, the strings, the synth, the guitar and bass, they all are pretty similar in how you can create the music, where say I add in a woodwind, it's the same where it's just a piano, or if you had a MIDI keyboard, you could plug that in and play right from there. There are a little different options where there's bass instead of just the treble of the piano that you can adjust, but overall it's the same where you just play like a piano of sorts to get out the sound. Let's just quickly look at each of the different ones. So if I had a file that's not crazy about the sound, I could click on this right here, Brass and Woodwinds Clarinet, and you can see it opens up all of the different collection or preset collections that you have. So let's go to guitar and bass. As you can see, there's a lot of different options. There's even some different styles that you can look for. If I'm feeling more of a pop song, maybe I could try out one of these. And again, you can listen to each of them before. And so here, yet again, it's just the same piano preset, but it sounds a lot different. So each one will be different. And then that brings into the question, well, what if I took my piano here, I opened it up, and I changed the sound, but I have all of the same notes as before. Let's see what happens if I just picked some random, let's say, strings. And see what happens. Just listen to what this sounds like. It sounds a lot different, yet all the notes are the same. So, that is just the magic of a digital audio workstation, where a lot of the different music and instruments you used are synthetic. So you can change them around as much as you'd like and make them sound as perfect or imperfect as you would want, so that it really fits the music that you are going for. So as you can see, there are still a lot of different things that you can do on Soundtrap, but I'll leave that up to you. For now, thank you for watching, and I hope you have fun exploring Soundtrap.